Welcome to Live on Kerr 2021. So my name is Gary O'Neill and I'm the Executive Director here. I'm standing here in our Kerr Street Mission gym. Now, if this was a normal year and this was a normal Live on Kerr, the tables would be set and they'd be ready for you. There would be a stage off to this side with screen and banners and lights. Actually, at this point in time, we would be trying to usher you in from the reception into here. And that's never been easy because everyone is so busy socializing and in conversations that they didn't want to end. I'm really looking forward to when we can go back to that. So at our last Live on Kerr, we also had a family in the kitchen. This is a family that had benefited from our help and they were here to prepare a meal. See, this family had come to us in desperation and we were able to help them in a variety of ways. They were in the kitchen because they wanted to give back. They wanted to say thank you to you and to us, and so they prepared a delicious meal for all of us to enjoy. Tonight, none of that's possible. So we've had to do the next best thing, and that's a virtual event. So a few weeks back, we approached 2 local restaurants and partners, and we asked if they could help us with dinner. And like so many in our community, they were quick to say yes, because they understand there's need in our community. In fact, they've seen it in their business, with their staff, and with some of their regular customers. But in spite of their hardships that they faced, they still contributed over this past year to help us care for those in need, because they care about their neighbors. So tonight, they've worked hard to make meals that we could all enjoy, and we're thankful. So, let's get into our event. First, you're going to hear from Julia and George from Return Owen Seasons, and then there's a message from me that was recorded earlier, followed by an update from our food services team. Enjoy.
My connection to Kerr Street Mission goes way back. It has always been a source of pride for me that we live in this wonderful community, but we acknowledge that there are people in our community who struggle. And Kerr Street is the place that they can come together to feel like they're being lifted up, and it provides for them a home that makes them feel a part of this community. It is so important to give back, especially now with this pandemic. When we are being tested and tried like this, our inclination is to turn into ourselves and to think of what this is doing to us. And all you have to do is just step out and look around and you see the struggles that exist that are true struggles. So by acknowledging that, yes, it's affecting you, but there are those that are being affected in a way that you can only imagine, then you are compelled to do something. COVID has taken away our power, makes us feel powerless. By giving back and doing, it's a way of saying, oh yeah, COVID, I'll show you. KSM, they provide so many programs. And one of my favorite programs that always touched my heart is when they have groups, different volunteer groups who come into that wonderful kitchen, by the way, and thank you, Longos, because that kitchen is amazing. And they would prepare a meal as a group. So there you have that camaraderie among those individuals cooking together. And then they serve the food. And there's people sitting in that cute dining room and eating a meal together. So it becomes an experience of sharing food that COVID has taken away. So you have to recognize, and that's what Kerr Street did instantly, recognize that we can't sit together, but the need, food insecurity is still there. We're honored actually to be preparing for a lot of individuals that have participated and supported Kerr Street. As much as I know these individuals don't need to be thanked, to be given an opportunity to acknowledge them and to say thank you, that what you've contributed and the time that you've given has made a difference to the lives of so many people, I think is fantastic. And is there any better way to show appreciation than preparing a home-cooked meal for them? I am so proud to say that I am part of the Kerr Street family. And I want to thank each and every one of you who participates and helps in every possible way. Because of you, this COVID epidemic will be a challenge for so many, but you are going to lessen the struggle by the support that you continue to give. So I want to thank you all for that. And thank you, Kerr Street, for letting me play in your kitchen.
When I first called Kerr Street Mission, it only took 2 seconds to get to someone to speak to. And that there started the ball rolling. It didn't take long for to get back into the answers and what we could do to help you get this organized. And the rest was up to myself and the restaurant and my staff to actually coordinate the rest of it to get out to the general public that we were doing this food drive. People in Oakville have been spectacular, actually. Through this whole coronavirus thing, people have been, as a charitable foundation, as a community, have been spectacular. And the Kerr Street Mission one, everyone seemed to know it, and so it was a good cause for them to drop it off. And we're not just talking a couple cans of food or a box of cereal, we're talking boxes of things. Like some people, like we'd have to get my staff to go to unload their cars, 2, 3, 4 boxes of things that they had gotten from their home. And we actually had to take it to our location next door at Brew to put it all together there because there was so much that season's already filled up. But when you are looking more of the things that are taking place behind the scenes that you don't see on a daily basis, it's amazing information you find out about what the Kerr Street Mission is taking care of. And it's the ones who have not been able to have access to other things, or the underprivileged, or they just need someone to talk to even. It's amazing what you guys have done. And the statistics actually that in Oakville that exists, that for those who actually do need, is mind-boggling. We always hear about it in Toronto, you hear about it in Hamilton, but you don't hear about it in Oakville in your backyard. And I have to tell you, that actually shocked me, and I know if Tammy was still here, it would have shocked her. And we know it all went to a good cause. That's the most important thing.
Welcome to Live on Kerr. Welcome to this new reimagined format. We're thrilled you've joined us for this celebration. And tonight we're celebrating the community that is Kerr Street Mission, and we're celebrating what we've been able to accomplish together. You know, Kerr Street Mission is a community of people that have, for all kinds of different reasons, joined in and together have become something special. Some of you had extra time on your hands and were looking for something to do, and you thought helping would be a good way to fill that. And you're right, it is. Some of you worried about neighbors who might not be able to afford the food that they need, or might not be able to celebrate Christmas. And so you're giving your time to come and to serve, and you've given your hard-earned money to help. Some of you were concerned about kids. Would they have the opportunities that other kids have? Would they have the experiences that help them develop into healthy adults? So you donated to send a kid to camp. Some of you wanted to help families that were experiencing a crisis and needed support, and so you contributed to our benevolence funds. There's all kinds of different reasons people have got involved, but what's common to all of us is love and compassion. In different ways you've got involved and you've loved your neighbors. You've been stirred by compassion and you've made a difference, and that's a great reason to celebrate. I have been told I can be an inspirational speaker, but I don't believe that. It's not my speaking, but it's the compassion in your hearts. I could tell you about so many of you who've heard a story of an individual or a family. Your compassion was stirred and you responded with generosity, your time, your money, your creativity. So many examples come to mind. I think of the family whose kids play rep hockey, and that team was doing a fundraising program, one that's well known in Oakville, and it's been done by other teams and in other sports. But this family championed the idea with their team and with the Oakville Rangers Club, and their efforts inspired families from their team and other teams to purchase at least one extra box of chicken, fish, or steaks and donate it to KSM as part of the fundraiser. They did it to help us provide the kind of healthy, quality food they like to eat and they want for their family. Then there's Trinison Management Corp in Mattamy Homes. For a number of years, they've been the title sponsor, co-title sponsors of the Mayor's Invitational Tournament that we host. Last summer, we had to cancel the tournament, and in spite of challenges with construction stoppages, they both made sure we had the $80,000, $40,000 each, because they heard some of the stories of those we serve, and they wanted to contribute anyway, so that we could provide care for those in need. I think of the woman who heard a story from a friend who was volunteering, and she decided that she wanted to help. You know, she has outfitted 8 families with new kitchen supplies, pots, pans, knives, blenders, containers, so much more. You name it, and she sourced it. Things most of us don't even think twice about because we have them, or if we need them, we buy them. But for a family that's been making do, this is a huge deal. To have all the equipment means they can, and it encourages them to cook healthy and to take pride in the meals that they prepare and that they eat. You know, it reminds them every day that they're loved. I think of all the volunteers that have come even though there were risks of COVID. You know, other than a 3-day stretch when we had to close because of COVID, we've been here the entire time of the pandemic. The food market, the takeout meals, Christmas wonders. Some volunteers had to step aside because of health risks, but just as quickly, new volunteers stepped up and said, "How can I help?" We even added a new delivery program for seniors and others that had health risks, and we had loving, caring volunteers ready to help right from the start. You know, a gentleman called me recently and he said him and his wife wanted to do something special. And so I told them that we were concerned about families that had accumulated debt. Debt they can't afford and they can't afford to pay back. Financial experts are predicting that when emergency benefit programs wind down, that there's going to be so many families in crisis. So I explained that we wanted to establish this debt center. It was a successful program that ended a couple years ago when our principal volunteer moved away. To make it work, we realized we have to hire someone to lead the program. And to be honest, I was hoping this family would make a contribution of $5,000 to help us move towards our goal. Instead, they sent a $25,000 check so we would have the remaining funds we need for the first year. You know, this service is going to be transformational for families that have lost jobs and lost income, and now their credit cards are maxed. Often they've had to borrow money from a payday loan place, which means the money they need for basic necessities is going to go towards these payments for loans. You know, I think about IPEX. This is a company that came with a $10,000 check for a food market. And it wasn't just Kerr Street Mission. They heard stories about people across North America. They gave $10,000 to organizations like ours right across North America. There are so many other stories. The mom who organized a food drive in her neighborhood and had an amazing response because her and her neighbors wanted to make sure we had enough food to distribute to those in need. You know, more people have showed up at our back door and more people have made donations than ever before. We had churches, even though they weren't able to meet and were behind on their budget, make special requests to their congregation to help. One church collected more than $22,000 to help us provide for families at Christmas. You know, this really is an amazing, amazing community. And I've said it before, your generosity is inspiring. You've made a difference, and you've given us reason to celebrate.
We all need a little help at some point in our life.
We all should know we are loved just as we are.
We all should have access to healthy, nutritious food.
We should all have someone looking out for us.
We all should know we are loved just as we are.
We all need to know someone cares and wants to help.
We all should know that we're not alone, that we are loved and we matter.
So the Choose Fresh program is a program that clients are able to opt into by paying $20 a month. So when they pay $20 a month, they have access to produce and proteins on alternating weeks. So one week, a client might come in and receive some leafy greens, some fruits, some vegetables, and then on the other week, they'll receive a bag of milk, eggs, as well as their choice of protein between chicken, salmon, and beef. So when we look at our food market, a lot of the items that we get donated are non-perishable foods, but we know that clients need access to fresh food as well, and that it's part of a healthy and nutritious balanced meal. And so we like to offer our clients the Choose Fresh program so that they can opt into and receive a consistent flow of these items. When I think about my family and the food that we eat on a regular basis, it's not just non-perishable food. And we know that there is nutrients that are available only in fresh foods. We want to provide our clients with the access to the same kind of food. We've recently actually added vegetarian and vegan options as well for our clients with those dietary restrictions. And that was based on feedback clients were giving us. Right now, over half of our clients are choosing the Choose Fresh program and are registering for it every single month. And it's been amazing to see the feedback we've been getting from them, as well as knowing that they are getting access to really healthy and nutritious food that they need. The food that we have comes from a number of different sources. For the Choose Fresh program specifically, we work with a lot of local suppliers and we look to support local whenever we can. And of course, the community here in Oakville has been such a tremendous help in doing food drives and supporting us in that way. At Kerr Street Mission, we always talk about giving help for the present and hope for the future, and that's so true not just for our clients, but I think for everyone involved with Kerr Street. For myself, being here, being able to interact with our clients, learning more about their story, and as well as working with volunteers and other collaborators in the community, it truly makes me believe that there is hope that we can solve food insecurity in the region of Halton.
In my role, we focus on the delivery to the clients who have been affected by the COVID-19 and aren't able to come into Kerr Street Mission to choose their groceries and their market items. So what we do is we focus on their conversations with myself and one of my volunteers. They get to pick out their items for what they'd like to receive in their delivery, and we deliver to them on Wednesdays. And my conversations on Mondays are checkups, but they're also, a conversation in their well-being, their mental health, and just something, and for somebody to be there of support. Being here at KSM on my Wednesdays looks like packing their individual boxes, so every box is personalized to the needs of the client. And after the packing is done, we actually package the items into the delivery volunteers, and they go to deliver the items for them. The community delivery program, it's for clients that have been affected by the pandemic and have a financial, mental, or physical struggle pertaining to not being able to get their own groceries. With this program, the results and the success that I've seen has been incredible. Sometimes you don't hear a lot of how, the accomplishments of the program until it's been a year. Some of the highlights of what I've been able to experience is just the light in the conversations that I have. At the beginning, when we first started the program, it was a lot of stressful conversations, worrisome conversations of not knowing how they were going to get by. So I'll highlight 2 families where some families have a lot of kids, and usually the worry isn't able to feed your children, and we're actually able to provide snacks for the families to be able to choose fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, having a protein source, eggs. And for a mom to come to tell me that she was able to sleep at night because her kids had food to eat that night and in the morning, it adds on what Kerr Street Mission is about. And lastly, our program has grown so much. Every week we're able to add on new people to the list, and that's because we have an incredible team. We have the food to provide to others and the volunteers that continue to support us. So I want to actually give thanks to everybody in the community, because it means a lot, and some people don't think that they're helping, but they actually are. Our volunteers play a huge role, whether it is packing the bread, packing the boxes, delivering to the clients, or even just the donations that we receive. They play a huge role in being able to feed their families. And just because you don't see the whole fruit of bringing in 1 can of soup, that actually feeds a family. And so I want to let everybody know that from my perspective is a phone call really helps. So if you have a family member that you haven't spoken to in a while, or anybody that you know is in isolation or has been affected by the pandemic, a call really makes their day. And my conversations go from anywhere from 30 seconds to sometimes an hour, and you really don't know what people need until you give them a call and get into getting to know them. And so we built incredible relationships with our clients, and I think that's my favorite part.
KSM means that I am contributing to my community.
I'm fortunate enough to be retired. I have time, I can volunteer, and I know there are a lot of people, certainly during the pandemic, that aren't as fortunate as I am, and I'm really happy that I can do something in a safe environment.
My favorite thing about volunteering at KSM is every Wednesday afternoon the market's open for the patrons to come in. And because I do it every Wednesday, you really feel that you begin to know who the patrons are. They see a familiar face, they always have a smile for you. It's very rewarding.
My favorite thing about volunteering at KSM is the variety of things that I do. And it also allows me to interact with people, which it's really hard to do these days.
My favorite thing about volunteering at KSM is the energy level and the people I work with, and the fact that I'm giving back to a fabulous community.
The importance of having a market at KSM, I think, is just the ability to provide access for those in the community that are food insecure. The pandemic has definitely thrown a curve in the way we operate our food market. Initially, we started by offering pre-packed bags that consisted of a variety of the non-perishable items, but we found that clients were lacking that choice, and that's really what they wanted. We slowly transitioned back into our client-focused choice model, so allowing them to come back into the market to choose the items that they really wanted. We've definitely implemented a lot of safety protocols with COVID, so all of our clients are screened before they enter the building. Obviously, everyone is wearing masks and gloves. I think clients have seen a really big shift in the types of food that they've received at the market over the years, and they've come to really appreciate, I think, the selection of the fresh produce that we didn't used to have as much of. I think we all grew up thinking that you donate canned soup and baked beans, but we're seeing that that's not really what clients want. Is they want the healthier fresh produce, or the healthier cereals, the less sugar, less salts, less sodium items. So I think just that education piece of what clients actually want and then what you can donate in the market or to a food bank, I think is huge.
We all need a hand up at times.
We all need to know we are loved no matter what.
We all should be able to choose the foods we like.
We all need someone to come alongside us and help.
We all need to have a place where we can go when we need help.
We all should have someone looking out for us.
We all should know help is available whenever we need it.
We all need to know someone cares and wants to help.
Kerr Street Mission is a response of the community to care for people that are in need. And we will respond in any way that we need to. So we provide some core programs. We have partners that come to provide programs, and we'll connect people into programs that they need. Kerr Street Mission began in 1996. A local church realized that there was poverty in Oakville, and they applied for funding and built a low-cost housing unit directly across the street from where we sit today. Once people moved in, they realized the needs were more than housing. They didn't have food, they didn't have furniture, they didn't have clothing, didn't have somewhere to send their kids. And so that was the beginning of Kerr Street Mission. So over time it's evolved as we started to understand the needs of people and we started responding to their needs. And again, where there wasn't a partner available, we've looked at creating programs, and at times we've actually partnered and helped other organizations get funding so that people could get the care they need. We have such a wide range of volunteers, from churches, from companies, from high schools, from you name it, people come. And some are working, some are retired, some kids have went off to university or school and they're looking for something to do with their time. And we believe it's a privilege to have them come and serve with us, and we couldn't do it without them. The majority of our volunteers are working with our food services teams, working in the warehouse, receiving food, sorting food, stocking the stores, distributing to the clients. But we also have some volunteers that work with our youth and our after-school care program, which is kindergarten to grade 5. We also have a special initiative called Neighbor Care Network, where volunteers will come alongside and journey with the family, and they'll basically help them source, find out, and advocate for them to make sure they're connected and they're moving along in their journey to change their lives. You know, Kerr Street Mission plays this really important role in the community, and not only do we provide essential services, but we have enough variability, enough flexibility that people don't just have to fit into a program. We can actually get to know them. We can not only let them know they love and they matter, but we can find out what their struggle is, and then we can work to be a catalyst and a facilitator to get them the help they need. And so many times people don't quite fit into a program that's available, can't quite access it. And so we get a lot of people that are desperate and don't know where else to turn. And we can be that caveat. And when we don't have a solution, we can reach out to church partners, and oftentimes their creativity will kick in and they'll create a solution. And so that impact is phenomenal, because that's what changes people's circumstance. I'm very proud of our food services team. You know, we've been open right through the entire pandemic. We've had to adjust and change several times to make sure that we could provide for our community and keep everyone safe. And the team has continued to improve our food market during this whole time. Not just making sure that we had enough food for all the people that came, but improving the food that's available. They made sure that it was available consistently, and so that our clients knew what they could get and could plan accordingly. You know, we've had this dream about being a best-in-class food bank, and it's not so that we can pat ourselves on the back or so we can get accolades, but it's because we believe our customers deserve and need the very best. And so we're working to give them that. This team embraces that dream. They're always having conversations with their clients. They're always looking for ways to improve, and they've done a fantastic job. Now, none of it would be possible without their hard work, and none of it would be possible without your support. So thank you to the team, and thank you to you. Now, in this next section, we're going to hear from another team member, Michelle. Michelle's been with us for a number of years. Her job is to get to know the clients, to build relationships, and to build trust with them so that we can go deeper with them and so we can get them the care and the community of support they need. After that, you're going to meet Olga. She's going to share her story. Now, this is a very accomplished and capable couple, and yet their struggle and hardships are significant. And then we have a special guest for you. You may recognize her from TV and commercials. Enjoy.
I think most people come through the doors of Kerr Street Mission for the food program, whether that's the Choose Fresh or the food bank. I think through relationships with people, the time that's spent getting to know them, so many other things that they're actually in need of that often they don't even realize they need supports with. The biggest things that families are struggling with that they don't realize, just the lack of community that they have. We're working with so many families that are coming from different parts of the world, and they are coming into Canada on their own by themselves, and they don't have anybody. There's a huge social part of what has brought them in the doors of Kerr Street. Coming in and accessing food opens the door to delving deeper into issues with families to find out where some real struggles are and being able to connect them to all of the supports that are available in Halton. The biggest difference between Kerr Street and a lot of other agencies that people are accessing in Oakville is the relationship that people develop. I think people feel very cared about, even in those moments where we can't do anything. There's nothing that we can do, but people still feel listened to, people feel heard, people feel supported. And I think that continues to bring them through the doors, even when we can't solve a housing problem. COVID has had a huge impact on our entire world, but I've seen it hit families really hard this year who are part of the working poor community. And I think some of the reasons for that are families that have had to take time off work in order to be able to be home with their kids when the schools shut down. Families who have lost jobs completely because the industry that they're in is just not necessary right now. We have a lot of families who are PSWs and those frontline service workers who have just been getting reduced hours because the business is just not there in the service industry. Families who were feeling like they were starting to get a leg up on things have been turning to us more this year than in previous years. Some families that we would normally only see during our Christmas season have been accessing the food bank on a monthly basis. And you can see it in the numbers that we have coming up that are turning up on a weekly basis to utilize the food bank. So the last couple of months we've really had a focused effort on reaching out to all of the families that are registered with Kerr Street. One, just doing a check-in with families, right? We've been dealing with this pandemic now for a year, and how are people faring? And so part of it is just a mental wellness check-in to see how people are doing. And then just to see where there might be gaps in resources or services or support that families need so that we can make some intentional decisions on how we support families as we start hopefully recovering from this last year. The great thing about the support that we've had from donors in the last couple of years is that we've been able to build that family programs team to include more people that give us the opportunity then to spend more time getting to know families, to dive into relationship with them so that we can actually really help them to find and work on meaningful change in their life. And so without the support of the donors that have been contributing to Kerr Street, we would not be able to have a team that could build those relationships.
I lived here in Canada without my family more than 18 months. Yeah, my children stay in St. Petersburg in Russia. Truth be told, it was a horrible time for me, and it was a horrible time for children because they was without me. I worked For a long time, I start working from 6 a.m. up to 8 or 9 p.m., 6 times a week. Yeah, I was super tired, but nevertheless I try to wake up at 4 because I do some homework with my older daughter because she studied at school and she needed help. It was not so easy, but finally they come here and now I am happy and now they can be with me. All my salary I should send to my family to support them, and sometimes I even don't have $10 for the bus and I forced to go buy food. We decided to stay and to live in Canada, to move Canada, because I think that Canada is it's the best future for my children. That's why I was forced to keep patient. I'm crying, of course, I'm crying almost every day, but I wake up and I said that you should do this for the future for your children. It was too difficult, but I did it. They cry a lot and we talk with my family every day. When I have time, I call them, I sing songs before they go to bed by the phone. Thanks that there is WhatsApp, we can do video and I sing the songs and try how I love them, that they need to keep some patience because it is important. Guys, please don't cry, everything would be good. My middle daughter, she can sleep well. She tried to go to sleep, fall asleep, but she can't. She always awake and say, Mom, where are you? I want to be with you. And I'm working during the night and she lie near with me on the floor and sleep. The most important thing is that my family with me and my children with me. And doesn't matter on what we sleep, on the bed, or on mattress, on the floor, it doesn't matter. Finally, we all together. It is the most important. When I worked as a nanny, there was a great lady. She do some cleaning here and we become friends. And she told me, you know, there is a Michelle, there is a great space that helps people, that can support people. They help in everything. And then I call Michelle, I tell her my story and she say, of course, sure, I can help you. They did and do a great job for all people and for us too. And children, they are so happy. Oh, when can we go to the Michelle? Wow, it would be a great present again. Wow, it's great, and they're happy. We get food each week and toys for kids too. And there are a lot of people that can help too. Last time I bought a lot of stuff a lot of used stuff, and finally everything is new. Thank you so much. Right now, my husband, he did not have a job in Canada. That's why the only money that we have it's what I have. Because right now I'm working as a nanny. Because in Russia I worked as a speech therapist too. And in Canada, in Oakville, there are people with Russian children and they have some speech problems. And I drew some help for them. And thanks to this, and also we receive children's benefits. And because of this, I can pay for apartment. It is 1,800. Plus, also we bought a vehicle because it is too difficult being without vehicle with 3 children, and insurance, and it's a lot. Veronica told that Lego it was the best thing that they liked because these boxes was so big and huge. The kettle here, because when they push the button, the water become blue. Yeah, wow, Mom, we never saw it before. Yeah, it was great.
Candy.
And a lot of candy and a lot of small boxes with candy. Every time when they come to Michelle and Adam, he is ask me, Mom, I need a hamster. But not now, later. Later.
and welcome to Live on Kerr. Now, this portion is neither live nor on Kerr Street, so technically I am a giant liar straight out of the gate. Yay! My name is Geri Hall. Some of you might know me from This Hour Has 22 Minutes, where I was a comedy anchor and a roving reporter for 5 seasons. I also used to do a lot of TV commercials, so some people recognize me as the Jalapeno girl, or the WestJet lady, or the Kraft cheese pinata cha-cha woman. But because I chose to be an actor in Canada instead of the US, many of you don't recognize me at all. So I've had to make peace with that. Now, for 22 Minutes fans, you might recall a few elections ago, I got arrested by the RCMP live at a press conference just for asking Stephen Harper a silly little question. The guy really didn't like people asking him stuff. He literally had me thrown into handcuffs. Sometimes it's the squarest looking guys who are into the kinky stuff. Now, Stephen Harper was never a great supporter of the arts, but by handcuffing me that day, he catapulted my career to a new level. So I voted for him in the next election. I'm sorry. Of course I didn't vote for him. And speaking of handcuffs, unfortunately all of my messages to Justin Trudeau asking him to put me into cuffs too have gone unanswered so far. Girls got a dream. Now, we are here tonight thanks to the Kerr Street Mission to celebrate you, the amazing donors, volunteers, and partners that make the incredible work of the Kerr Street Mission possible. I was going to host this event live last year, but then a pandemic hit. The world shut down. We all grew mullets and made sourdough bread that tasted like garbage, and we got caught with our pants off on Zoom. While I'm sad that we can't all be together in person tonight, I am conversely very glad to not have to wear pants right now. It's especially freeing outside, you know? You wouldn't believe how nosy my neighbor Frank is being about it. I mean, seriously, Frank, do I take pictures of you when you're working? No, I don't, Frank. Go inside and kiss your wife. Tell her you're sorry. Some people. On a serious note, when I was approached about hosting tonight and subsequently learned about the amazing and life-changing programs and services provided to the Oakville community by the Kerr Street Mission and you, my heart was really moved. I read about the child and youth programming, summer camp and after-school programs, about the beautiful community meals, the Christmas drive that helps to get toys and food to needy families, about Club 31, where disadvantaged kids can come to get amazing homework help, about the incredible prenatal and beyond support programs for mothers. The list literally goes on and on. I learned about the Kerr Street Mission's work, and I fell in love with their life-changing outreach, because these programs are about people. People living in Oakville right now in need. People whose lives are made so much better by your generosity of spirit. So thank you. Now, I grew up in Oakville, and I can speak firsthand to the fact that it is a place of great affluence and beauty and charm. But not everybody growing up there is experiencing Oakville that way. There are single moms, single dads, immigrant families, widows, people with disabilities, families who've fallen on hard times from sudden illness or layoffs or unexpected challenges, who may indeed have Oakville postal codes, but who are struggling financially in a town famous for its wealth. And COVID has not only made this worse for families already suffering, but it has unfortunately brought more people into the world of financial and food insecurity. Now, in a way, Oakville's name is so synonymous with wealth that it's created even more of a problem for people in need in this community. I mean, Oakville poor just means you only have one yacht, right? That's wrong. Many people find it hard to imagine that anybody with an Oakville address could possibly be struggling, but I can speak firsthand of somebody who was once in that scenario. That's my mom. My mom grew up in terrible poverty in Newfoundland in the 1950s, but she eventually came to Toronto, and the beautiful redhead fell in love with my dad, a handsome country singer whose star was on the rise. They worked hard, they got married, they made a down payment on their first house in Toronto, and they set about raising their 3 babies and dreaming about the future. In 1975, when I was 3, my older sister was 10, and my baby sister was only 1 year old, my dad left for a camping trip with his friends, and the love of my mother's life never came home again. He died in a terrible and tragic boating accident. My mom, stricken by grief and now suddenly alone with 3 small children, packed us all to my aunt's, who happened to be briefly living in Oakville at that time, and she started the task of trying to put our lives back together. Eventually, she ended up using my dad's small life insurance to put a down payment on a home in Oakville in those big white townhouses on Falgarwood Drive, where I spent most of my childhood. I still wave to those buildings when I pass by. Now, my mom didn't want us raised by babysitters after the loss of my dad. It was so important to her that we be together, especially until at least we were all in school. So she tried to figure out what kind of work she could do in Oakville that would let her take her babies with her. So, the former stay-at-home mom found work as a housekeeper for some of Oakville's most luxurious houses, where she would work as long as she could bring her children with her. She would set us up each day with toys and snacks, and we would play, oblivious to her struggle while she worked so very hard. Now, despite the tragic loss of my dad, my mother crafted a beautifully happy childhood for us. We loved our house on Falgarwood Drive and the awesome and diverse community of kids with whom we shared that communal playground and courtyard. It was such a fun place to grow up. But we also heard some classmates say that their parents told them they weren't allowed to play at the white townhouses. We heard people call our houses the white elephants. Now, we weren't sure what that meant as children, but it sure didn't sound like a compliment. Well, it turns out a white elephant, by definition, is a possession or a building project whose cost is out of proportion to its usefulness. A project considered expensive but without use or value. I can assure you I did not live in a white elephant. I lived in a home full of love and laughter. Those white buildings were my community, my home, and they were of incredible value to my family and so many others. My mom literally worked herself to exhaustion to give us the things that all kids need and hope for. Holiday presents, winter boots, nice clothes, extra money for field trips. To make ends meet here, she ended up working 3 different jobs to raise her family. She lived paycheck to paycheck, and she struggled in ways that I never fully understood until adulthood, and even more so once I had children of my own. My mom lived in Oakville, but she often skipped healthy meals and occasionally even rationed her own food so that we would never have a shortage of good things to eat. She went without new clothes for years so that we could go to Oakville Place and buy something new to wear on the first day of school. I had very little idea how many hours of back-breaking extra work it took her to save up enough extra to just send my sister on her grade 8 trip to Quebec so that she could be like other kids and have the same experiences and the same chances as our peers. And this precarious financial balance was in constant jeopardy. If my dad's old station wagon broke down or my mom came down with the flu and needed a few days to recuperate, the financial cost and the strain to our family was immediate and scary and real, thrown into strange contrast by the fact that she was cleaning mansions so she could pay her 2 mortgages and keep our cupboards full. It was a tale of two Oakvilles. If the Kerr Street Mission had been around back then with all of their incredible family support programs, I can only imagine how much my mom and my family would have benefited from that kind of a resource. Now, my mom is an incredible woman and an incredible parent. We may have had financial struggles, but she always told me and my sisters that we could be anything we dreamed of being. At 10, I was sure that I was going to be either a brain surgeon or an actor. There was no such thing as brain surgery summer camp, and if there was, we wouldn't have been able to afford it. But my mom encouraged me to do shows and plays in our living room all the time. We watched Carol Burnett together, and I reenacted all the sketches. And we also watched real brain surgery occasionally on some strange TV program, too. And we reenacted that on an ill-fated bowl of spaghetti. She wanted me to keep as many doors open as possible. She encouraged me to join the drama club at school. She came to all my plays. When she could afford it, she would register me for classes in acting at the Oakville Center or through the YMCA, classes that she had to struggle to pay for. Now, I was very lucky and privileged to be in a situation where she could even afford to do this occasionally, and I'm grateful to this day. When I got to high school, she cheered me on as I registered for grade 10 drama and met the high school teacher and a professional actor named Mark Melnick, who had become a lifelong mentor and dear friend for me. He told me I was good enough to get into the Second City, and I did. He told me I was good enough to be on TV, and then I was. So really, it's his fault that Stephen Harper handcuffed me. He's actually directing me in a comedy show to this day, in a show we call Middle Rage that'll be touring across Canada when this pandemic is finally over. He told me my dreams were all possible, and that meant so much because when your mom tells you you're awesome, you sometimes wonder if she's just blinded by that whole unconditional love thing. But he and my mom both encouraged me to believe that I could be anything if I just worked hard at it. How lucky was I? And what a difference great mentors like them can make in the life of a kid. But sadly, so many low-income families struggle to provide even the basics to their children: food, shelter, and clothing, let alone the sorts of experiences and opportunities that can help a child meet a mentor or spark a flame that turns into self-confidence or even their life's passion. Kids in need are potentially denied not just the ability to achieve a dream, but to even understand that dreams are possible in the first place. Oakville is so lucky that the Kerr Street Mission is here with such an amazing array of children and youth programming to address this need so that underprivileged kids have a better and brighter future and that their chances in life are more equal to their peers. So, we didn't have a lot of money as kids, but please keep in mind that I am keenly aware that our struggles back then literally pale in comparison to the ordeals that so many other families are enduring right now, and that struggles come in many individual and different forms, not simply financial ones, like mental health issues, racial and gender equality, disabilities, the impacts of abuse, or the unique array of challenges faced by new Canadians. There are families right now in Oakville struggling in ways that you and I can't even fathom. But thanks to you, the amazing donors and partners and volunteers at the Kerr Street Mission, help and support are available. So, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your kindness and your generosity make an incredible difference to so many men and women and children in Oakville. Now, I gotta go and do a little Carol Burnett show for my kids and then perform a lobotomy on a bowl of penne regatta. Never give up your dreams. And I should probably put some pants on. The kids aren't really comfortable when I hang out like this. Soon this pandemic is going to be over, and we are all going to have to wear pants again, so brace yourselves, okay? Oh, please. Don't pretend that you're wearing pants. We all know that everybody is pantsless tonight, am I right? Oh my gosh. This is the first pantsless live on Kerr. Look at us. We're making history together. Yay! Good night, everybody. Thank you.
We all need a friend to be there when we are hurting.
We all need a little kindness, patience, and grace from those around us.
We all should know there is help available when we need it.
We all should be able to take a warm shower.
We all should know that we are not alone. We are loved and that we matter.
We all should know we are loved, just as we are.
We all need another chance.
Sometimes another chance.
And sometimes another chance.
And sometimes another.
And another.
You know, Michelle's love and compassion and her dedication to helping our clients is special. And we're very fortunate to have her on our team. So Michelle, thank you for sharing with us. And Olga, thank you for sharing a bit of your journey. We have no doubt that your family is going to have great success here in Canada, and we're privileged to be a part of that journey, and we're happy that we're here to help you. And Geri, thank you so much for coming and being part of this celebration and part of this evening with us. Thank you for sharing your story. The tragic loss of your dad, what that meant for your mom and for you guys as a family. Your story is our hope and prayer for families when we think about the success you've had and how you've overcome that tragedy. We appreciate that you came and shared with us. Now we're going to move on to a message from our board and one more pre-recorded part from myself. And I hope you enjoy.
Well, my first experience with KSM, I was invited to a Live on Kerr event, and it was very interesting. I got a tour of the facilities, the food bank, some of the other programs. I listened to Geri. He was very enthusiastic about KSM, and I thought this was an organization that aligned with my Christian faith and values, and I thought this was a good opportunity to give back, particularly to kids who didn't have much. I was raised by a mother, single mother with 5 kids. She was unemployed, so we didn't have a lot, and I thought I knew what it was like not to be able to go to camp and things like that. I thought if I could get involved in an organization that would help kids have opportunities that other people's kids have and they don't, it would be a great way. To those who have been donors, thank you very much. This year in particular, we've had an abundance of people who've stepped up and helped us in this year of COVID, and we've been able to expand our programs, particularly in the food area, and the number of clients has increased as a result of COVID. So a huge thank you to all of those who have stepped up. And for those of you who are thinking about donating, we would welcome your contributions. It's a great organization. We monitor and steward our funds very, very closely to make sure that as much as possible gets out to those in need. One of the things that shocked me about Oakville is I didn't realize that more than 10% of people in Oakville lived in poverty. That was a real eye-opener for me. So when I got involved with Kerr Street, it was an opportunity to get involved with people in need that I had no idea were in need. So, if you want to get involved with an organization where there is a genuine need, even in a place like Oakville, KSM is a place to go.
My husband and I have been long-term supporters of KSM. 20-ish years ago, I was a camp counselor here, and through the years have served breakfast on Saturday mornings. And in the fall, my prayer was, God, how can you use me more in my current season? And the opportunity to join the board presented itself. In January, I joined the board, and it's been neat to get plugged in a more in-depth way. To our donors, thank you so much for your continued support. It's been a wild year, a year that none of us would have expected. As a board, just so appreciate your ongoing support and just your willingness and desire to help those in need.
We have a super talented and experienced board. I had a chance to spend a couple hours with each of them doing a walkthrough and an orientation. We talked about the programs offered. We talked about our mission, our philosophy, and our hopes, and how it all fits together. So one of them asked, is there one thing that you would say is the most important thing that we do? And what would that be? It's a great question. And to answer it, I need to tell you some stories of those we serve. There's a woman who comes regularly for showers, for food, and for other help. Other service providers are completely fed up with her. One day she blew up on one of our staff members. In her anger, she said some mean and nasty things. She didn't come back after that for 3 or 4 weeks. When she came back, the staff that she blew up at said, "I'm so glad to see you," and told her that she was relieved that she was okay. She showed her grace, and she continues to show her grace. You know, we just don't know all that she's experienced or all that she's struggled with. What we do know is she continues to need our help. And we would want someone to show us that grace and to be patient and forgiving if it was us. There's a high school student we've been working with. She's been attending the high school program that calls KSM home and has for the last 3 years. We offered her a co-op placement. Initially, she didn't show up. Then she came for a bit, sometimes on time, sometimes late, sometimes not at all. Our staff called the school and arranged a meeting, and they talked about the expectations. They talked about what she needed to do to get her credit. They tried to make her feel comfortable, and they tried to help her understand responsibility and commitment. She showed up after that. She was made to feel like part of the team. She met the responsibilities, and she graduated this year. We believed in her. We gave her a chance because that's what we would want if it was our daughter or if it was us. You know, there's a family that immigrated to Canada and needed our help. They couldn't find work, and they realized they would have to go back to school and get Canadian certification. They were regulars in our market, at our meals, and they participated in nutrition and parenting programs. They worked really hard so that they could get established here. One day there was an electrical fire in their apartment and they lost everything. They came to tell one of our staff members because they just didn't know where else to turn. We reached out to church partners and we asked for help, and in no time we had gift cards, we had gifts, and we were able to replace everything that they'd lost. Because that's what we would hope would happen if it was us. You know, they came to mind because I just got an update. They're living in Milton now, they're stable, and they're thriving. And it's because of this community, and because we were here, and they got the help they needed. You know, I think of a senior who keeps coming, and we tell her that she doesn't have to come, we'll deliver food to her door. But she wants to come. She wants to be here. She wants to see the staff and to see the volunteers. This is an important part of her community, and she's an important part of our community. So, what's the most important thing we do? I could give you a list of programs that are available. I could try to prioritize the list, but I wouldn't get it right. For some people, the food market is most important, and they depend on that food all year. For some people, it's the summer program because it means they can work and they can provide for their family. At the same time, we're working intentionally with the youngest campers to the high school students who have their first jobs to develop them so that they can have a better and a brighter future. For some, it's the AA group or the Anon group that meets here. These groups are a critical part of their battles with addictions. For others, it's volunteering. It gives them something meaningful to do, and for some, it makes them feel valuable and needed again. You know, all of these things are important, and they all make a difference. But my answer, the most important thing we do, we let people know they're loved and that they matter. It's in the invitation to come and be part of the community. It's in the warm welcome when they arrive. It's in knowing their names. It's in worrying when they aren't here for a few days. It's in calling to check on them and to offer to help. It's in the volunteer bringing a can opener for the homeless guy that she got to know. It's in the fresh produce and all the work we have to do to make sure that it's good quality produce, it's what they want, and it's available consistently. It's in the warm, healthy, prepared meals that the volunteers come to make sure our clients can enjoy. It's in connecting to Sheridan College for the mom, a student who is a semester away from graduating, but now she can't pay her tuition because her husband lost his job during COVID. She needed grace and a special arrangement to continue and to graduate. You know, it's in the letter and the conversations with the dentist because a mom can't afford to pay the thousands of dollars of dental work her disabled son needs. You know, when the dentist found out the story, he did the work for a quarter of the cost. A local church stepped up with a donation. When we told the mom, she collapsed on the ground and she sobbed because she was so overwhelmed by this answer to prayer. You know, it's in the establishing the debt center because we know a lot of families are in trouble and have fallen behind on payments, and they're going to need our help soon. One last story, and for me this is an important story to remember and an important story to tell. We had the privilege of serving a gentleman named Steve. When I first met Steve 7 or 8 years ago, he was living in a tent, even on the coldest days of the winter. He was a big, happy guy most of the time, always willing to help. When he wasn't drinking, he was charming, he was fun, he was caring, he was smart, and again, always willing to help. Everyone seemed to know him, and everyone seemed to like him. On October 4th last year, You might have heard about it on the news. A man was found dead under the bridge just up Kerr Street. I had volunteers call me and email me, and staff were asking. Everyone wanted to know if we'd heard from Steve and if he was okay. Later that day, Steve came by, and I had the chance to tell him about the calls and the emails. I said to him, "Steve, do you know how many people around here care about you and how much they care?" He paused and he said, I know. Why do you think I keep coming back?" 2 months to the day later, Steve passed away, but I know he knows that we loved him and we cared for him. Our mission statement says we provide care and a community of support, and we do. The care is a little different for everyone. The community of support is a little different from everyone, but the message that you're loved and you matter is the same. As we end this evening, I want to say again, thank you. Thank you for joining in this celebration. Thank you for being a part of this special community that is Kerr Street Mission, and thank you for your love and compassion. Well, here we are at the end of our evening. I have to admit that it doesn't feel like live on Kerr to me, but I'm still very thankful that we had this time with you. Thank you for joining us. I hope you sense our appreciation for your support. We're so thankful that we're able to serve our community, and we're so thankful that we have such a group in our community that is supporting us and loving their neighbors. Thank you again so much, and all the best.